wait, what's happening?
Oh.
There we go. Hey guys.
Hey.
Listen, this is completely crazy. Okay, it's the unthinkable, beyond belief, and the imagination. Trust me, this is so far beyond the mind. Man, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Look, guys, we don't know how to explain this. We can't get through to anybody, me and Maren.
No.
Right? She can't get through anyone in her family, her friends, right? And I can't get through anyone in my family and friends. Okay? Me and Maren, we went through a natural selection in 2012 that we can't really talk about. And we went through a transformation we can't really communicate with anyone about. Everyone thinks there's something wrong with us and our family and friends because we altered and we changed that much, and they can't communicate with us anymore because we changed that much. We went through a massive transformation. Both of us did. Hey, Maren. And something happened that we cannot explain, with an outside influence on our reality that controls us to go through this. And that's the best way to explain it. Like the light bulb idea, the picture that comes from out of the blue, like something dimensionally, right? Something through the atmosphere, principality in the power in the air, took control of our vessels, and we went through a massive transformation, right? And we changed that much that our personality and our mentality died. I want to tell you something, guys. I first met Maren, right, in January 2022. Okay, and when I first met Maren, we've gone to Norway many times, right? And in Norway, there's a Christian TV radio station.
Yes.
So the minute we get out of Denmark to Norway, Maren goes to the Christian channel straight away and plays that all the time.
Yes. Yes.
Now look, guys, if you look at my videos here and you really, really, really do the research about who I am, where I come from, and all the things I've gone through, right? And the study's done on me for 34 years, and DNA study. They say I'm one of a kind, right? I'd just like you to listen to me, right? It's so hard to fathom. If you really listen to me, right? It's so crazy, so bizarre, and so far beyond the mind, it's too hard to believe. It's so hard to believe that it's incredible. And I do mean it's so bizarre, it's so crazy, and so far beyond belief that it's too hard to believe for anybody, even myself. I do not know what's going on here. I'm not in control of the outside influence, right, of what's happening around the world right now and what's happening with us. But I can tell you something. In my walk of life, which is massive, and I've had a walk of life and experienced wisdom and knowledge that nobody else in the world has ever taken. Never followed my footsteps, never done what I've done. So they couldn't possibly know what I know, not possible. And that's the first thing you learn about your own life, is that you've done so many things in your life that no other human being on earth has ever dared to do, in the top mastermind reports by the biggest think tank, spent 10 years in jail with corruption. Okay, your cases are the 8 most corrupt cases in every university in Australia, right? In the biggest Darcham inquiry by the biggest think tank in the world, in the most powerful confirmation with DNA and divine intervention that you have godlike power on their studies done for 34 years, okay, with outside influences throughout your whole life. Just stop and think about this for a moment. You don't even know yourself. You haven't got an idea. You sat down and you're told by the biggest think tank and biologists in the world that you have the most authentic DNA in the world with the most divine intervention recorded, okay, in every miracle in hospital. The most divine intervention, the most powerful miracles ever recorded in modern history. And you're told you are one of a kind with all these events. Just think about this, right, for a moment, right? We go through a natural selection in 2012, and we both have amnesia. And our personality takes a swing. and goes across to our spirituality. And we get out of our mentality. And that's why we changed and altered through a transformation with divine intervention that we can't explain. Things that come out of the blue. When I met Maren in 222, okay, I want you to listen carefully. I have known so many people in my life, and I'm going to a lot of information about this, right? I brought down together the highest death toll from hearing, cocaine, and bonds and mesmerism in 30 years in Australia, from 1996 to 2000 in 4 years. I put every network together and stopped all the violence, gang killing, drug deaths, suicide rates, and domestic violence to the lowest statistics in 30 years. And my rescue officer commends me, so does 40 other cops, that causes the Royal Commission, paying over 23 years, stolen back into the polity, biggest mental health research ever conducted, and most powerful DNA documents in the world. The book Freedom by Jimmy gives the cure of the human condition to save humanity. And I developed the most powerful enlightenment drug you see in the movie Limitless to bring people back in their primal state to use 100% of their brain on every study done in the star category. Just think about that for a moment. I'm number one most wanted in the star category in the gatekeeper port. And I'm the gatekeeper. I've godlike power in the most powerful confirmation on earth. And then you're told this for 6.5 hours by the top scholars and think tank in the world. Think about it for a moment. You don't even know. You have amnesia and you're going through a transformation, then you get told shit like this. Imagine what that feels like. You wouldn't have a clue because you've never dealt with anything like that before in your life. The next day I'm told this, a divine intervention happens. And all the light comes to me with massive miracles I just made 2 powerful videos about. With the most powerful confirmation that God does exist with evidence and creates that solid evidence, right? With a most powerful confirmation, with 3 documents written down 11 months before it happens, with days to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen. Just imagine that this happens with you and you got no control of this. How do you explain it to people? Imagine 5 most powerful biblical prophecies lands on your date of birth with the most powerful confirmation on earth and the moons and the stars and orbs of light. Imagine it all lands on you and you don't even know. How do you explain it? 5 most powerful biblical prophecies land on my date of birth with the most powerful confirmation on earth I can't make up. And then these things happen to you with an orb of light, a watcher that watches over you, a Holy Spirit, divine light, okay, when we're chosen like this. Maren goes into tears whenever you talk about Christ, and she doesn't know why, nor does anyone else. They think there's something wrong with Maren, but Maren's really tough. She's strong. She stands against every single thing. And as you saw in Norway, when we were up there in hospital, when she had a massive miracle, when she was trapped in a wheelchair, she came out of the wheelchair when it's beyond the point of return. And you all saw that. You also saw something else. The tree bent down and talked to Maren and kissed her right in the lips, like you won't see nowhere else. And then you see orbs of light come in here live, on live videos, and then we have testimonies from our followers been sitting right here when these orbs of light come in here with a divine intervention. And Tom made a video about it.
Yes.
Right? And when people see the orbs of light come in here and they come here to greet them in this room, imagine what they feel in that experience. No one believes in it. Yet we've made live videos with orbs of light plenty of times. And no one believes in it, no matter what. And the tree's been down to talk to Maren. Imagine the Bible starts with a man and a woman and it's going to finish with a man and woman. And that's the 2 candlesticks, the 2 olive trees, the 2 witnesses. Because we're the 2 witnesses and we didn't even know. We had no idea. The most powerful wedding and bride in front of mainstream media worldwide on the 27th of July 2022, and that's us too, at Times Square, right, in Denmark, on 7,000 cameras worldwide. You see the video here. We didn't know. We had no idea, but we fulfilled that prophecy. And the world's biggest army the world will ever see, 250 million people or more, was 335 million people that I moved with the Extinction Rebellion that shut down every capital city, 4,500 capital cities down in 150 countries across the world on the 27th of September 2019, my birthday. My birthday last year, the middle of 7, between 2:20 and 2:27, the New York Climate Club, with a 7-year countdown to 7-year lay. Jacob's Trouble, 7-year lay. 2:20 to 2:27, Look at New York climate clock on YouTube. The most important number placed in the census of society. The clock will be displayed to the 27th September. That's my birthday again. Exactly 2,000 years when Christ was baptized by John on the 27th September 27. And a lot of people know it's exactly 2,000 years to the inflection point of no return. The Vatican knows. Kim Clement predicted in 213, in 227. They saw it in the looking glass. They're going underground military bunkers, worldwide nuclear bunkers. Trump, Biden, all the elite and all the militaries. They saw it in the looking glass, and the CERN shuts down 227. Right? It's right in front of your face. And NATO's made warnings worldwide to be prepared for food and everything, with brand new nuclear warnings on phones worldwide in 223 worldwide. And they tell you get prepared for 3 days, and the Bible warns about that 3 days, right in that same moment. I find it astonishing it also warns about a prophet coming from Israel. Obama calls Harari the great prophet from Israel that wants to take up the natural Israel by placement telling design. And then We're Not Breathing and the book Freedom by Jimmy gives the Holy Bread of Life and the Holy Breath of Life by 16,000 top scholars as natural selection. Every top scholar stands on their page, right, with divine intervention to command nature and go back in the primal state with their natural selection. While the government signing with WF with unnatural selection, as UAP disclosed at totality last year, they have an outside influence in their reality. And what does Harari say? It's an alien intelligence. And they're saying going to create their own gods and Christ is over. So they're full on Antichrist. So it's all the government signing in with them. Right in front of your face. With 10 kings we're warned about, with Geneva at the top, where Satan dwells at Geneva. The same 10 kings we're warned about. Okay? And that's Geneva at the top. And then you have the show machine that is up the porthole to a personality. The 5D world, light power to demonic walk in the book of Enoch. With light power, energy, vibrations and frequencies in the 5 sense world, in a 5D world. And people's become mentally institutionalized into a conscious mind by the conscious singularity by WF set up by the Rockefellers with the secret covenants with everything they consume and all their artificial talents on reverse psychology engineering through NATO and UN. That's why they're all post-human states now and can't use the genetic process, and they don't believe in it. They're in the biggest global delusion state in post-human states, born revelation, declared in 1999, right? The world is crazy, possessed by an outside influence, and going to 6 mass extinction strip in the 6th sense for the 6th time. And that was declared my birthday, 27 September 99, after the first G20, on my birthday again. The last men being born in the Bible would be born both before the post-millennium age, post-human stage. And they said the last man being born is 1960, and that's that day. And I'm born the 27th September. The last human being born that can use that genetic process to do everything that Christ can and more in the biggest state ever done. So that fits biblical prophecy perfectly. And 27 stands for the Holy Spirit, divine light, book Revelation 27, and 27 biofields. You have 32 cents, you only live in 5 cents mentality, in a reptilian mentality. You're trapped beyond the point of return if you don't cross over back in your primal state through the great resurrection of humanity. So all these declarations made in my date of birth, and I moved the world's biggest army the world's ever seen with 335 million people and shut 4,500 capital cities down in 2019 on the 27th September. Right? In 150 countries. The Extinction Rebellion that stood against the 6th mass extinction strip in the 6th sense for the 6th time. Book Revelation 27 unfolding. And everyone is in denial about it. So the zombie apocalypse came across the planet in the 7-year lay between 220 and 227. And in the middle of 7 you'll see 2 moons and you'll see a supernova in the middle of 7. 2 powerful prophecies in the Bible. And last year, Daniel 9:27, the middle of 7, Jacob's trouble, they named a star, Jacob's star, in the 1940s. And that star went in supernova in the middle of 7 last year on my date of birth, in the middle of 7, 27 September, 9:27, Daniel 9:27. The middle of 7, Jacob's trouble. The supernova, Jacob's star, 2 powerful prophecies unfold on my date of birth again. And then 4 days later, 2 moons. On the 1st of October, 3 powerful prophecies. Post-human stage stands on my birthday. The end date in the new climate clock of the 7-year lay, my birthday. 2,000 years when Christ was baptized by John, my birthday. Daniel 9:27, my birthday, the middle of 7. Supernova. And then orbs of light, stars within a star of the Bible, came from heaven to earth all over the world. that we have a relationship with, that create the most powerful divine intervention, okay, in the most powerful confirmation on earth. I just made a video about when they told me to write 3 official documents, when I was being unlawfully deported, they said they would send me back with the toughest facial recognition in the world and the most powerful confirmation on earth, and they do. The Orbs of Light do. They fold space and time in international airports with the most powerful confirmation ever developed on earth. I can't make it up. No one can. When you see all these signs and they're developed with you and you don't even know, and then she, Maren, cries like no one else ever has, and she doesn't know why, but she feels the truth. And trees bend down to talk to her, and she feels, because she's the mother of creation. She's Lilu, the 5th element. She's a perfect element, more innocent, more shy than anybody else I've ever met in my life, and cries with emotional feelings, but no stress and anxiety. None of at all. She has no mental disorders, no defects at all. She repairs everything the same way I do. And what's astonishing about this is Maren's been involved now in 3 powerful miracles through the hospital as well, and a mum made post about this because they're that powerful and no one believes in them. But they keep thinking there's something wrong with Maren, and Maren went to a psychiatrist, and through a big study done, they said everybody around Maren is crazy, and she was the only one that wasn't crazy. Just like they said with me, that the whole world's crazy, because it's been declared the whole world's crazy in 99, and no one believes in it. Well, they haven't got mental telepathy, years people know you, and telekinesis, levitation, spoon bending, clock winding, and they cannot fold space and time with deja vu to prevent the future and prevent what's going to happen. My book, The Testimony of Drug Reborn, has become solid confirmation and solid evidence that God does work with me to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen, and I'm right. Me and Maren are the 2 witnesses that was on mainstream media on the 27th of July 2022 in front of 7,000 cameras, the wedding and the bride and the 2 witnesses. And we didn't know. Did we? We had no idea. And every single one of these events that's happening, we have no control over, but we can see what's happening around the world and how everything lands with us too in the most powerful confirmations on earth, with the most powerful divine interventions, most powerful miracles, and most powerful declarations worldwide on my date of birth, with the most powerful confirmation with the moons and the stars. And I come from the cave of prison with the tooth of masses and left my mark on earth with my most perfect DNA that cures the human condition I found in 2008 in the biggest research ever done. And I'm one of a kind. And when you understand that, imagine being in our shoes when every human being on earth thinks there's something wrong with us and don't care. Even our family, our loved ones, our friends do not understand and have no faith whatsoever in the most powerful confirmation ever developed, with the most powerful DNA studies done, and the most powerful think tank in the world, and I'm the most powerful mastermind every document, with God-like power that God gave me and brought me through this with a great resurrection and the great transformation in DNA with genetic memory and a genetic process with answers to tools. And me and man went through this. And we are the 2 witnesses, 2 candlesticks. We're the 2 pillars of soul. You will not know who we are, but you'll know by the tools, the wedding and the bride and the 2 witnesses, and the most powerful confirmation on earth. It will start with a man and woman, and it'll finish with a man and woman, the 2 pillars of soul. Lilu is the 5th element, 84, mother of creation. The Father is 27, the Holy Spirit, divine light. Keanu Reeves in the Matrix, the resurrection. The 2 pillars of salt, they know in the movies, it will start with a man and woman, it'll finish with a man and woman, and they know who the perfect element is. It's Mary who was ascended in body and soul and went up with Christ. The 2 male and female pillars of salt, the soulmate relationships that everyone lies about and knows nothing about. You will not know who we are, but you know by the tools, the moons and the stars, and the most powerful confirmation on earth in DNA, right through natural selection, with orbs of light, with UAP disclosure. And we were selected. You do not have a relationship, we do, because Maren's mother was abducted several times with amnesia. I'm telling you, Maren's mother was abducted several times with amnesia, and her family's confirmed that she had lacerations and insertions. And next thing you know, Maren came from heaven to earth, and she's not the same as them. She doesn't even call them mum and dad, she calls them Life and Bender. You've never called them mum and dad. Why not? Because you don't feel that. Maren's an old soul. You see, 212 phenomenon is our ancestry, celestial primordial beings taking over our vessels. And we are old souls that has genetic memory from when Christ was on the cross, because we remember as if we were there and we feel it with the outside influence on our reality. And that's why Maren, nobody cries more than Maren and more innocent than Maren and more shy. I can promise you that. And it's her feelings that has a powerful influence on me, because she's Lilu, the fifth element, the pillar of salt. And we're like the pillars of salt together 24 hours a day and never separate for 1 second. Nobody's ever been that loyal and that powerful with that kind of confirmation in a powerful soulmate relationship. So powerful, I've never seen or heard anything like it in my life. But mate, but your blood say every day, I have to do everything for you. I'm your slave. And no one will ever believe that. Man sat blood say, I have to do everything for her, man. Cook, clean, the whole lot. Believe me, I know it's a joke, but it's not. She's blasé. If she does something in the kitchen, she'll turn left when she's supposed to turn right, because she saps people with her voltage, unreliability, and she saps everyone around her. And they don't know what's wrong with Maren. They think there's something wrong with Maren. And Maren could not understand what's wrong with these people, because she has a divine power to command nature. And believe me, when they feel her, they don't know what's going on. They can't work it out. I can. And I'm the only one that can. I'm the only one that can understand Maren. And if there's one thing I learned about Maren, you cannot understand Maren. There's nothing wrong with Maren. Maren's just very different. And I do mean extremely highly different, right? The most innocent child you've ever met, right? Always shy, never talks, right? Doesn't say a word, and the most clumsy, blasé person you'll ever meet in your life. And if you think there's something wrong in here, nah. She's so used to being such a fuck up her whole life, she just laughs and says sorry all day. Oh, sorry. Right? And she's not afraid, no stress, no fear, no anxiety, but she's so different. Mate, I can't even work her out. I can't work her out. But you know what? We're two pillars of soul.
Yeah.
We have a soulmate relationship, and we are the two witnesses, right, with the most powerful confirmation to back it up. We cannot lie. We don't have to. Anyone that doesn't believe in us lives in a massive global delusion state. We are the two witnesses that comes with the resurrection, protect the elite, with the most powerful confirmation with our followers and their testimonies that cross over through the great rebirth, the great resurrection, to go back in the primordial state with a genetic memory and a genetic process with the ancestors coded in their own DNA, where we can all do what Christ can and more if we're in the right mindset by thinking outside the mind, and things will come to you. We went through a transformation for 3.5 years and had no idea what was going on, and had no idea that we were naturally selected like this with the most powerful confirmation ever developed in modern history. And we're not in charge of this. We're not responsible, but people hate my guts, go against me deadly. Every single Western in the world goes against us so deadly, you've got no idea. And that's the truth. And God developed this, the most powerful confirmation on earth, no matter how you look at it, with the most powerful divine intervention, most powerful miracle, right, with border security and immigration in the biggest securities in the world, the most powerful international events, the most powerful confirmation in hospital records. Even Maren got up with the spinal cord going backwards beyond the point of return in a wheelchair, got up and walked out. And you saw that live video where the trees bent down and talked to Maren like you'd never seen anywhere before in your life. You've seen the live videos with orbs of light coming here, and Tom made videos about this, so did others. They had that divine intervention, that divine power right here in this room.
Yeah.
Right here. 99% of people stuck so far up there in us, they have no idea what they're missing out on. Until they get a divine intervention and a divine confirmation, they will not know. And 90% of my followers will never know. They think they know and get in another comfort zone, but they've never been lifted out, right, through the light of the end tunnel and never had that confirmation and that divine intervention to know. They've never crossed over through the light of the end tunnel, as Plato describes in 15 books, as Jeremy Gibbs tries to describe. And he said it might take decades, and I can promise you, with most people, they haven't got open hell. 40-day fast will bring you through this, and the only thing that will. Otherwise, it took Moses 40 years. It took Elijah 40 years. It took Abraham 40 years. Christ learned in 17 years, and he taught the disciples how to do it in 40 days and a crossover in 3.5 years. But if you live in your own truth, you will never know. And you all do. Live in your own truth, and you will never know. The Father don't want you to fail because you control the veil. And I'm right, and every human being on earth is wrong. Do you know what that feels like? That I'm right, and every human being on earth is wrong? Because it's the truth. And the only truth that will set you free, that I'm the one that teaches the resurrection to save humanity and protect the elect with the correct tools in my DNA. My DNA is number one worldwide. We're the most powerful confirmation on earth. And I cannot lie. You don't follow me this time, the Bible tells you, you would not know him. But if you don't follow me this time, you'll go in the abyss, no matter what you think, no matter what you say. You can't mold the truth to suit yourself. You can't lie about this. God developed it that way. We're the most powerful confirmation on earth. And being in our shoes, it's 1,000 times harder than you can imagine. Our parents, our family don't even believe in us. No one does. They think they do, pretend they do, but they really don't. Go look at their platforms. They still share artificial intelligence, right? And robots, and merely resonate with the wrong things non-stop. And that's all they care about. Well, I'm telling you now, there's a natural selection happening right now in DNA. Okay, right now. And if you don't get right with God today, you're screwed. And we're trying to save your soul from your own mentality and your personality. And you don't realize that because most of you are beyond the point of return, trapped in your skull, right, with amnesia, in a reincarnation trap. And until you cross over, you will never know that you have amnesia. You will never know. But believe me, when you cross over, you'll know. And it's not what you think. It's everything the opposite of what you think. Your mind doesn't know. So we take you through a 40-day fast and stop the unnatural selection, right, with We're Not Breathing and the book Freedom. And you've got to pump it, man. Pump it and go deep and dedicate. And then you come out to the light of the tunnel and you see it yourself and get a confirmation with a divine intervention and a massive clarification. And those are the facts, guys. We're trying to help every human being on earth. But trying to get through your thick skull is nearly impossible. Because you become your own worst enemy and your mind plays tricks and games you and you become your own pushing your own warning in your mind and you don't even know. You have amnesia. How would you know? We break you free with the most powerful liberation in modern history. So you never suffer the human conditioning ever again. Imagine being free in such a way it becomes the most unbelievable time to be alive and you're high as a kite. So high, with pure love pouring all over you, you've never been so high in your life. And you pump it, and that becomes your norm. So you bear the right fruit, and you spread it like a virus that affects others. Pure love, man, unconditional love, is the meaning of life. And there's nothing else, man. The relationship. Do you have a relationship? Get cracking, because you need the relationship. Without that, you're screwed. Trust me, we know. We found out the hard way. And we never went to church. We never read the Bible. But we have the most powerful relationship with the most powerful divine intervention you'll ever see in your life. The two pillars of soul, the soulmate relationship. Trust me, we know. don't we?
Yes.
And we didn't know it all. The mind doesn't know. Wow.
Yeah.
And I do mean wow. When you don't know these things are happening to you, imagine being put in that position where something on the outside controls your vessel and you're not in charge. You're not in charge at all. What happens to me isn't my personality or my mentality. It's the outside influence that took possession of my vessel for a massive transformation, and I had to get my head straight because my head had no idea what was going on. My personality and mentality was clueless. So limited, now I'm limitless, and wow, holy crap. The most powerful, holy, divine intervention, divine power, right? Divine power, believe me, okay? The Holy Spirit, divine light, comes to you like this with the most powerful confirmation, with real love. Love you don't have. And you know what? We're the two most lonely people in the world. Believe me, imagine all of a sudden you find out that it's you and you're the only one in 8.2 billion people chosen with the most powerful confirmation. How would you feel? Do you know it's not to be in our shoes? 99.9% of people don't give a shit. Don't believe in nothing, but we can't lie about it. God created the most powerful confirmation on earth, the most powerful divine intervention, the most powerful miracles, the most powerful declarations. It's obvious that we're controlled by an outside influence through the mother and the father. Divine power to command nature. Because we're not in control. We're gobsmacked and speechless. Especially Maren.
Yes.
She's blasé.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That too.
You're a weirdo. You're a Lilu. Wee, 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 wee. That's Maren. That's why Nicodemus could not fix up Mary. Right? When she was possessed, she wasn't possessed. She was a Lilu. Lilu, Lilu, Lilu. And Christ was the only one that knew that. And she, right, he became a pillar of salt. That's why they both ascended, body and soul. The two pillars of salt. He'll start with the man and woman. He'll finish with the man and woman. The two candlesticks, the two olive trees, the two witnesses, 87 and 24, the two pillars of salt. It's conductors. It's a divine power to command nature. Divine power to command nature. And we didn't know, but we know now. Wow.
Yeah.
My God, this is bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we never dreamt of anything like this in 2012, not even a million years. Did we ever expect it was us chosen? Man, we can't convince anyone. Man, we can't talk about it to any of our family and friends. They think we're crazy. If we even go down that street, they think we're fucking nuts, man. Everybody thinks we're nuts. We go to the church, the pastors think we're nuts. Right? They don't even study this. Don't even look at it. They just think we're nuts. The whole world thinks we're nuts. We cannot lie. It's impossible. Nobody can lie. Which proves that every person in the world is in a massive global delusional state and got no faith in the most powerful confirmation development on earth. Zero faith, man. They live in their own truth. And God developed that. And he said, I'm the only one that's right. And he's right. It's declared worldwide in the most powerful confirmation by the biggest thing and DNA studies done. I am one of a kind, and I'm right, with the most powerful confirmation on earth ever developed. And imagine being put in those shoes, and you got no control of this, none at all. You're not responsible. It's an outside influence that put you in that position with all this divine intervention, divine power, and all these miracles, and 5 biblical prophecies that land like this with you. And you got no control. Imagine waking up one day and it all lands with you like this, and then you realize the world's insane. You realize the whole world's got no faith in God when God develops the most powerful confirmation on earth that no one believes in, and it's all developed with you. You were told in the Bible, you do not know who I am, but one person will come with the resurrection and protect the elect. And if you go against him, you'll surely be devoured. The Bible tells you that. And it's not my fault. Nobody believes in the Bible. They believe in the voice of mine, their own God, without realizing it, because they don't have a relation with the Father, and they're not in the Christ who to do with Christ anymore. And I am with the most powerful confirmation DNA so done. I can do every single thing that Christ can with my genetic memory and my ancestors' tools coded my own DNA. So can Marin. We both resurrected. We both been clinically dead. We both resurrected. We both went for transformation, and no one can lie about it. Yet everybody does. And that's the truth, man. You have to be us to know that. People don't have any real faith in us at all. So imagine how God feels when he develops this with the two candlesticks, the two offices, the two witnesses, the mother and the father, man and woman. It would start with a man and woman, and it would finish with a man and woman, with the two pillars of salt, with a conductor, with a relationship, divine power to command nature, with a divine intervention and a divine codependent relationship. And when you see the Upsilonian live videos and the miracles created with me and Marin, not only the American hospital, but trees bend down, talk to her on live videos, what does that tell you? People are jealous and spiteful and cowards and don't want to go back in the primal state and don't even care. That's what it tells you. We come with the resurrection to cross people over to save them so they can all do what Christ can and more and go in a new timeline with sevenfold wisdom and knowledge to live with the tree of life for 1,000 years and never suffer again in a new dimension where everything is perfect. Unbelievable. And you see the future in deja vu when I take you through the 40-day fast and through the light in the tunnel. You can see it yourself and get a confirmation how perfect it'll be. Because it's right there in front of your face. But you don't know that because you can't think instinctively outside the mind. You're trapped in the mind. So we take you through the fast and through the process with We're Not Breathing and the book Freedom by Jim McGivers, the Holy Grail of Life, the Holy Breath of Life, held by 16,000 top scholars with natural selection. So you can stick your head at the cave and get that confirmation to cross over back into primal state through the rebirth, through the great resurrection. And most people don't care. They think they're going to be handed with notification of fast food not allowed. They think they're going to get a notification that's going to be slapped on their forehead because that's the mindset they live in where they think everyone's going to be handed on their lap. Because of the mind, right? With more information and he said, she said, the mind doesn't know. The mind cannot fix this. The mind cannot understand this. The mind is limited. You see that in the movie Limits when you cross over and use 100% of your brain to think outside the mind with a universal outside influence with sevenfold wisdom knowledge you see in the movie Limits, a vortex of information with sevenfold wisdom knowledge that can teach you to master your mind and use 100% of your brain. So you're not controlled by your own personality trapped in your mentality that doesn't know what you're doing. Because we went through this, we didn't know what we were doing until we went through the massive transformation with genetic memory and an outside influence we could see for the light bulb idea, the influence that comes to you from out of the blue that you can't explain. You can't explain, but we know, and we have the most powerful confirmation on earth. And we cross people over with testimonies about my followers that goes into this and dedicates with these tools. You see that with our followers and their testimonies on our platforms. Some people do want to cross over and go back in the primal state, but 99% don't. They just scroll on and think they know in their mind with mentality. And that's their reality that's limited. And they'll never cross over. They'll never be in the Christ image, and they'll never get divine intervention, and they'll never cut a confirmation, because my people do. They end up with a divine intervention and a powerful confirmation with a clarification. Not many people do, because they're trapped in their mind into themselves and beyond the point of return. And that's been declared worldwide. They think in their mind too much and trapped inside their mind and will suffer the consequences. Going to 6 magic sticks and stripping the 6th sense for the 6th time. And we're trying to restore their 6th sense, which is their spirituality. With mental telepathy, ESP, remote you, telekinesis, levitation, movement, and clockwinding, folding space and time with deja vu, to do everything Christ can and more, to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen, for God's sake. Because that's your natural process and your natural go-to-mode skills that you can't use with amnesia. So until you cross over, you'll never know. Because we teach that the best. To cross over with a divine intervention and going for a massive transformation with genetic memory, with the ancestors and tools, when we unlock the DNA code of God within. Do you understand what's going on? Believe me, our DNA has become the most powerful confirmation on earth. And my DNA leads to research by the top scholars in the world. The most authentic, the most honest, that can preserve DNA, and self-preservation for life in the biggest study ever done. I can't make it up, guys. Okay? If you want documents, go and verify the documents. Don't ask me when you don't trust me. Idiots. People say, show me the documents. If you don't trust me, why would you trust me to make the documents? Moron. Go and verify the documents because you're reptilian, to satisfy your reptilian brain, and you'll never have any faith that way because you haven't got any faith. You're literal and you're mental. And everything you use with your mind will not confirm. Faith is thinking instinctively and feeling the truth. And you have no such feelings. Your aura's gone. You haven't got any faith. You haven't got any feelings. You can't feel the influence on your reality. You come to your own conclusion with reasoning, with the voice of mind that tells you to do that. Ultimately, the scientific extinction where you're trapped in mentality, in a personality with amnesia, in a reincarnation trap, and you don't believe in it, well, then you'll never wake up, will you? And you'll never cross over, and you'll never be saved. Every single person in the world is living in a massive global delusion state and lost 95 to 99% of their aura. So they can't feel the truth with remote viewing, mental telepathy, ESP, telekinesis, levitation, spin-minute clock warning, following the space and time with deja vu to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen, because you have to feel the truth with your sixth sense and see the picture that tells you 1,000 words with multiple perceptions. The orbital light, the light bulb idea, they can't lie to you. The picture that tells you 1,000 words, an orbital light that turns into a portal with dimensional thinking for parallel worlds. You know how to use it? No, you don't. I do. I was put through that transformation, so I know. How to? How else do you explain this? You have to go through the transformation yourself to know. The mind doesn't know what you're doing. Christ was right. And they're saying that in the top scholars in the whole world. Christ was right. The whole world is wrong. This is available to every human being on earth if they cross over back in their primal state, back in their innocence, back in their selflessness. And that's the problem. Everyone's so egotistical, trapping themselves, and don't have that relationship, and they never will when they're trapping themselves that much. They won't go back to their innocence in their childhood, and they won't go back to their selflessness, like a father who would sacrifice every single thing for his children, and he'll only use the quantum mechanic of a relationship with real loyalty, honor, respect, moments, inspiration, encouragement, and he used a two-edged sword to abide with his own family and friends and uses any other tools and depend on them with artificial intelligence in the grammar or selections by artificial intelligence with instrumentation with religious political cults and New Age cults to think they know the truth when they believe in their own truth. That's their manifestation. When they believe in their own truth, they're trapped with voices of mind that tell them to do that. And everybody believes in their own truth, trapped in their own mind with self-centered ego in their mind. That's why God can't save them, because they only believe in their own truth. With voices of mind that tell them to do that. Artificial intelligence, with an artificial mutation, where the voices in your mind are ultimately scientific extinction. In your Christ consciousness, that's only a middle bit, a middle process, and the illusion of imagination, and would tell you whatever you want to believe in. That's why you're in a comfort zone. But you suffer mental disorder defects, and your body starts going corruption, collusion in the daytime, and you die prematurely from stress-related diseases and getting younger all the time. And all your kids, 77% are born with parasites, right, with chronic diseases, because you're a species in the Nile clan in 2003. You were told you were crazy in 99 on my birthday, and you didn't believe in it. You still don't. You still don't. You still live in a delusional state more than ever in your mind and lie to yourself because the voice of mind controls you that much, right? So they become your own worst enemy, right? They play tricks and games in your delusional state. You become your own person, your own warden in your mind. And until you wake up and break free from that, you'll never know. You'll never know. You'll never, ever know until you break free from your own mind. Till you cross over back in your primal state, you will not have a divine intervention and divine power to command nature, because it goes through a natural process, one that you're not in. Because you're in your mind fast into nowhere, thinking that you're going to be saved with artificial intelligence and the voice of mind that says do that. Huh? Really? Have you had a massive divine intervention and a massive divine clarification and stuck your head through the Lightian tunnel, as Plato describes in 15 books, as Jesus was describing, as Plato describes, as Hawkins describes, as Einstein described in the end, as the top scholars of the world describes, Jeremy Givers, to stick your head through the Lightian tunnel outside the cave? Until then, you do not know. Until then, you do not know. So we take you there. We take you out of your vessel through the light of the inner tunnel, up Jacob's ladder, for every ladder, every rabbit hole, and you go through the light of the tunnel, you take the red pill, and you can't go back as you wake up from amnesia and the reincarnation trap. Stay on the blue pill, you'll never know until you go through that inflection point. But remember, the mind controls everybody, and most people beyond the point of return and can't cross over. And these are facts, guys, that you need to deal with. God cannot trust anyone because they live in their mind too much, in themselves. That's why we come with the most powerful confirmation on earth. God could not trust anyone. You see, we have the most divine power, and we have a relationship you do not have. Most people are very jealous and spiteful about this. Well, why don't you create the relationship instead of being a judgmental, competitive idiot? Why don't you create the relationship so you have the divine power to command nature and you can do what Christ can more instead of being a judgmental, competitive dickhead, wasting your own time and mine? God doesn't know you for a bar of soap because he hasn't come to you with that intervention and to give you that divine power to command nature with the most powerful confirmation. So if you haven't had that event, then you haven't been chosen through natural selection. So you better get cracking and create that relationship through natural selection so you can get that intervention and get that confirmation. Otherwise, you're screwed. And we're trying to save you from yourself. Man, we went through some shit and put right on the spot. You and I, we've been put on the spot, man. And then we realised that everyone else is crazy, right? Because we have been put right on the spot. And we've got no control of this. But imagine sitting here every day for 5 years and realising how dumb, stupid, and artificial every human being on earth is without any faith. None at all. God's created all this evidence and no one cares, man. Show me the evidence. Everybody's a robot and an artificial human being and so judgmental and competitive that they're beyond the point of return. They're completely gone, man. Completely fucking gone. I'm telling you, 98% of the population is gone. Trust me. They cannot think instinctively outside the mind and do what I can and more. So they're not going to be saved. They will not restore their sixth sense. They will not go back in their spirituality because they're trapped in their mentality. It's a fact. And it's hardcore. But it's also the truth. And the only truth that can set them free is the real truth they won't face. And 95% of people have been declared beyond the point of return and go through too many affliction points with unnatural selection and don't care. They don't care, they don't believe, they got no faith. And that's the real truth. They don't care, they don't believe, they have no faith, and that's the real truth. They have no faith in God, and the most powerful confirmation, they couldn't care less. No pastor, no preacher, no teacher, no Christian, no New Age couldn't care less because they're artificial, sitting in front of a screen all day, and they're actors for someone else that can only use 7 to 10% of their brain, and the highest IQ can only use 15%. Yet we can master the mind and divine power to command nature and use 100% of our brain because God gave us that gift, and he won't give it to anyone else. What does that tell you? If you haven't been given that gift, then what does that tell you, guys? It tells you you're missing out on a lot, doesn't it? You're missing out on all that love that God gives us. All that powerful love that puts man in innocent and breaking the tears all the time. You big soul.
Yeah.
And you cry too much, like a crybaby.
Yeah. When it's...
And no one understands why man cries so much. Because she can feel the truth. You know why she cries so much? Because she has a genetic memory. She remembers everything. And it breaks her into tears with innocence. And I'm the only one that knows that. It's her genetic memory. And no one can understand that because they have amnesia, especially a mum who was abducted by an alien and she was inserted and popped out from heaven to earth like this. And her mum's got amnesia and she says she's awake with consciousness. I said, would you like me to wake you up from amnesia because I can? She said no, didn't she, Mary? Mm-hmm. She said no.
She did.
And nearly 90% of people when I say, would you like me to wake up from amnesia? They say no. Is it true, guys? They actually say no themselves. They don't want to wake up from amnesia in the reincarnation trap. So they're trapped beyond the point of return. That's hardcore, man. That's really hardcore. When you wake up from amnesia and you go through the transformation and you know the tools, how to resurrect humanity with protect the elect, with the most powerful confirmation, and you ask people, they don't want to wake up. They don't want to wake up from amnesia. They're trapped in their personality, and that's how powerful the influence on their reality in that delusional state. That sounds heavenly, like Christ consciousness that doesn't exist. They're not in the Christ image, right? They're in the Christ mentality. How would they know Christ mentality when they can't do what Christ can and more? That's how delusional every Westerner is. Every pastor, every priest, every Christian, and especially New Age, who selects all the artificial intelligence with light power and any vibrations and frequencies, and they've got no codependent unit power in their DNA. They're the most artificial human beings on earth. Proven with DNA. They have the most mental disorders and defects as well. In denial. All New Age is a denial. They're robots to fact check Google themselves and haven't got any mental telepathy, years, people, remote you, telekinesis, levitation, split many clock winding, falling space and time with deja vu. They live in a delusional state in their mind. We know that for a fact because they live in consciousness developed by the Rockefellers in the condensing lab by WF, a delusion, an imagination, an illusion. And that's what they live in. That's why they can use the natural selection with the universal language, with codependent feelings and that kind of relationship, right? Divine power to command nature. They haven't got it. They're full of BS. The world's full of BS.
Oh.
And we spread the love like a virus, and it affects people. That gets out of the mind.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I hope you're going to listen, practice what we preach and cross over. Otherwise, we warned you, right? If you're trapped in your mind so much that you can't go through this, then remember, you are your own worst enemy, no matter what you think. We're trying to help you. We're trying to save your soul, not your mind. Your mind's the most dangerous part. Remember that. That's real love, guys.